Thank you for tuning in to Sundays at the Square. My name is Toni Ringgold. Today I have a wonderful guest with me, but I'll let him introduce himself in just a minute. But I first want to talk about the Olympics. Man, let me tell you, it is really going down. USA is doing their thing. You know, I want to give a shout out to the Simones who are here right here from Texas, and I think they're from the Houston area, if I'm not mistaken. They are really doing their thing. Of course, we got to give a shout out to Gabby and all of the other wonderful athletes that are representing USA. Shout out. Okay, so I've had a very eventful week. As some of you may know, I just opened up Premier Music Academy located at 1604 South 31st Street in Temple, Texas. Very excited about it, but it has been a lot of work. Spending a lot of mornings getting up around 6 and going to bed around 2. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. There's nothing like being your own boss. So, here we go. We are going to get started. I have a wonderful guest with me. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, guest.
Well, my name's Levallois Hamilton. Straight from Killeen, born in Boston, Texas. Christian rap artist. 24 years old.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just, you know what I'm saying, I'm also work for the city. I'm a youth program specialist for the city of Killeen. Work for the Youth Advisory Commission.
Wow.
Just excited. Got a lot of music coming up.
Okay. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
So you talk about the music. How long have you been doing music?
I've been doing music. Let me see. I started writing, I want to say, when I was probably like 10 or somewhere around there, 9 or 10 or something like that. I started writing like R&B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who were you writing the R&B songs to at 9?
Well, you know.
To the ladies.
To the ladies. Exactly, to the ladies. And then I was a musician too. My dad is a guitar player. My mom sung in church and stuff like that. And so I got into drums, and then, you know, after that I got into rapping from my cousin.
Okay.
And I just started doing it. So I've been doing it since about 9 or 10, and I'm 24 now. So
you a vet.
I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, so what was your first experience like being on stage or in church, or the first time you got up and did your thing?
Man, I was nervous. I think the first time for me, I remember doing I think it was like a talent show at my school, and I wasn't per se like rapping. Mm-hmm. I was playing the drums, and it was like a talent show. I think it was like middle school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know, like all I remember going through my head was like, please don't drop your sticks. Like, please don't drop your sticks. And I got up there and I just started playing, and before I know it, that fear went away, that adrenaline was pumping. Yeah. And it turned out really good. And everybody was like, man, that was nice. So I got comfortable with the stage, kind of like playing drums. And then after that, I experimented with rapping. And
okay.
Then, then I was a little bit more confident then.
Awesome. Okay. So you mentioned that you do work for the city of Killeen.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hear a little bit more about what is it that you do.
Well, I'm a youth program specialist for the Youth Advisory Commission, and it's under volunteer services. And basically what I do is I work with kids aging from 4th grade all the way up to seniors in high school. And it's a volunteer program that kids can come, participate in a lot of different activities in the community, help out. We do special projects like Relay for Life, Make a Difference Day.
Oh, wow.
So we do a lot of things like that, interactive in the community. But my favorite part of it all is our main goal as a commission is to help minimize issues that plague youth in the community.
Right.
And so these kids really have an opportunity to be a voice for the kids in the Killeen area. And they do this by voting, doing youth forums, just really interacting with their peers and creating activities and things that can kind of help create positivity and a balanced life out here in the area. So it's a very rewarding program.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine that, and that's awesome because, a lot of times the youth get overlooked.
Yeah,
We get so busy with life and everything that we have going on that we don't really think about the importance of making sure that our youth are where they need to be and that they are enriched and engaged. And then we get mad when they get in trouble.
Right.
But they don't really have anything to do. And, you know, maybe that might be something that we can talk to our city about doing because when I say our city, I mean Temple, Texas. I don't know if they have anything like that going on. But what I will say is that I think it would be great for this area. I don't know if you heard recently about the things that happened in Temple with the playgrounds and all of that. Well, there are a group of kids who didn't have anything to do, so they got in trouble. And they burnt down a brand new playground that was like $250,000 that had just got put in the middle of the hood. You know what I mean? It was something for the kids to have. They burnt that down. They went into one of the older schools that was being used for different. It was an older school, but it wasn't being occupied at that time. But there still were offices there and still had use. Well, at any rate, they damaged it so bad to the point that it was about $1 million worth of damage. And, you know, when people hear about that, they think, oh, my God, that's just awful. That's horrible. Can't believe that. But truth be told, it's not uncommon if you do not have anything for the kids to get involved in. If they're not really enriched in a real way and they're not getting those peer involvement and the things that you're talking about, then it's easy for them to make bad choices and it's easy for them to get into things. And I do think it also goes with parenting as well. Is making sure that, as a parent, you keep an eye on your kids and, you get them involved in things like this. You look and you try to find things to keep them busy and engaged. So.
You know what's crazy is like I didn't hear about that now, but just hearing about it is like one thing I learned is that the youth have to be engaged.
Right.
Putting a playground, and that's good, because it gives them something to do in a sense of recreation. But these kids have to be engaged. A lot of times, I feel personally that people don't necessarily want to take the time out, have the patience to deal with you. A lot of times I talk to a lot of adults, they're like, man, you must have a lot of patience. I ain't got the patience to deal with you.
Right.
With you.
But we were all once you.
Right.
And somebody had to have patience to deal with us.
Yeah. So they really have to be engaged. Really have to interact with them. Really have to go where they are. Instead of just saying, hey, here's a video game, play it. It means more to them if you take that joystick and you sit by them and play that game with them.
Right.
And so it's just a lot of different things that I be learning, working with youth. They're very relational. You just give them something to do and be like, occupy yourself. Be bored and do something else.
Exactly. Just need some direction and, like you said, somebody to take a real vested interest in it. And I do, I do understand the importance of that. It's kind of funny because, you're working for the city, but what I do at the academy, is I work with kids all the time, and I work with them on things that they love. And one of the things that I am definitely an arts advocate, and you being an artist, I'm sure you understand that there are some kids that may not necessarily be into sports. In other words, they might not want to play basketball. They might not want to play football. They may not want to run track. But they might like writing. They might like music. They might like art. And a lot of times, these kids are not given the opportunities to do things because it's not, something that is looked upon. I mean, people don't go and fill up stadiums to watch somebody paint a painting. They fill up stadiums to see somebody run a ball. And so these kids are kind of looked over, and then a lot of them end up in trouble. There was a statistic, and I don't know how true it is, but I feel like it probably has a lot of truth to it, that 70% of those that are incarcerated are creatively minded people. And if you look at like some of the people that are incarcerated, and they send home things like these wonderful paintings and these pictures and these things that they make with their hands, this is the things that they love to do. They just don't have an opportunity out here to do it. So I think it's our job to make sure that we are catering to all youth's needs and not those that are just happen to be good at shooting a basketball.
I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Levallois, I want to talk about you being an artist. Of course, we all grew up in church, and so
Right,
you know,
right.
you get up there and you do what you're supposed to do. You're gonna play them drums. Get up there and play them drums.
And be on beat too.
Yeah, and get it right, especially when they start shouting now.
Yeah. You got to get the shout
One,
right.
two.
You got to get the shout right.
Yeah. But, you know, when going into being an artist and really taking it to the next level, when did you make that decision?
Let me see. For me, let me see. It kind of started when I was like, you know, when I got to the age. I remember one time I was in the studio, I was freestyling. My cousin was like, I was saying a whole bunch of stuff that I ain't have, talking about cars and this and that. And he pulled me out the studio one day, and he was like, man, listen, man. He was like, you 13, don't have a driver's license, don't have a car, you ain't got no girlfriend, you ain't got no strap. You know, he was just like, you don't have none of that. So he was just like, you know, he said, man, like, if you want people to like really listen to what you're saying, just be honest. Talk about what you have. Talk about, tell your story. And that conversation just kind of changed my approach to music. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of forced me to start looking at my life and not at the rappers. Start looking at my life and finding relevant messages and trying to paint a picture, an artistic picture of what my life looked like in music.
Right.
And so that's kind of like what started my journey. And I think I was about 14 when I started realizing that I wanted to paint pictures with words.
I like that. Mm-hmm.
That was deep, huh?
Yeah. Come on, snap,
tweet that.
You better coin it.
Right. So when I got saved, I still wanted to paint pictures, but I wanted to paint a different picture. You know, when I was, you know, doing it for, you know, I would say myself, the picture that I wanted to paint was to kind of like, you know, I wanted to paint a picture of myself and what I looked like, how great I was, or how dope I thought I was. But when I got saved, like, my picture began to broaden. I wanted to paint pictures about what real life looked like as a Christian, as an unbeliever, as someone struggling with their faith.
Right.
And so that's kind of like been a driving passion for me. Every time I look in the Bible and I read stories, I wasn't there. You know,
mm-hmm.
when he walked on water, I wasn't there. When when dead people got up, I wasn't there. But through those words and through the words in the Bible, it kind of creates a picture in my head where I can see it.
Right.
And it helps me to believe it, because it was so artistically put together, so well put together and well worded. So I want my music to kind of be that same way, that when people hear it, you can see what I'm talking about.
So what are you talking about?
Well, I talk about a variety of a lot of the things, but the thing that's central is it always points people back to Christ. It always points people back to Jesus.
When did you really get saved? Because when we go to church, we go down and we.
Right.
Our mama be like, "Go down there."
Yeah, my mama did that a couple times.
Yeah, get in the line. You make the face, get in the line, and you be like, "Oh, come on, man."
Yeah.
And so, like, when did you for real get saved? Like, when did you really say, "Okay, this God thing, I'm gonna really do"?
It was in 2006.
Okay.
That's when I really, like, for real got saved. It was in 2006. I had just gotten I was still in the foster care system at that point, but I was back in killeen then with my best friend. And I remember coming back from a church service, and we were in Round Rock at AHA.
Wait a minute, pause.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you say that, and then we're gonna get the real story, cause like
Okay.
I didn't what?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so we was at AHA, and I had just previously been shot at a party, and so it was a lot of confrontation going. It was a lot of tension going on at that part of my life, and my mind was just really dark. I was on some retaliation, and I was leaving this church service and playing drums, and as we sit up in AHA, this Caucasian man comes up to our table, and he looks at me, and he says, "God ain't forgot about you," and then he walks off and goes back to his seat. And when he says that, I'm looking like, I'm like, it didn't move me. It was just kind of like, okay, tell me something I don't know.
Right.
And it was literally like something went off in his head or something, because he was walking to his seat, and then he turns back around and comes back to my table. And to make the story short, he puts my whole life in front of me. Like, this man was from California. They were passing through, and they just stopped to get a bite to eat. And he starts telling me, he said, man, he said, God says that you have a gift to do music, but the reason why you find it so hard to write your lyrics is because you're not using your gift for what I intended for you to use it for. He said, you got a gift, but it's going to always be perverted until you use it for what it was intended for.
Wow.
And then he just starts like telling me about my life and just all kinds of things. And God had me separated. And what really got me, though, is when he told me, he said, God told me to tell you that if you don't make up your mind who you really going to serve, you're getting ready to die a short death, or you're about to spend the rest of your life in prison. Now, I told you I had just been shot at a party. My mind was like my mind wasn't right. And so I had mentally prepared myself for whatever.
For whatever was going to happen.
And
so how old were you then?
I was, 2006. It happened like, my sophomore year? So I probably was like, 17.
You were prepared to die.
Yeah, I was. I mean, and it's as crazy as this seems, I was even prepared to like go to hell.
Wow.
I had literally like in my heart, I was like, okay, I'm finna go to jail. I'm about to go to prison, or I'm finna go to hell because I'm finna take somebody's life. Like, I had a murder spirit, and it was taking over me. I would stay up sometimes at night, and the devil would be showing me all kinds of ways to do stuff or hurt people, and not get caught, and just very mischievous.
Yeah.
And so when that man came to me and told me, God said, you getting ready to die a short death, or you about to spend the rest of your life in prison. You don't make up your mind who you really gonna serve. Because just like a lot of my peers, I was living that way, but I still call myself a Christian. Like, I was playing drums every Sunday. I was going to church every Sunday.
It was still
living
that life.
Living a crazy life.
Okay, so let's back up, because you said foster care. Okay, and I just met your beautiful mother, so I need you to explain this to me.
Okay, well, it happened it happened, I think I was in like 8th grade then. And it was, it was one night we was all having dinner. It was a night that everything was like really cool. Like, wasn't no drama, nothing like that going on. And we were all eating pizza and stuff like that. And there had been a prior situation with my baby brother. And the cops came. Well, yeah, they came knocking on our door. The CPS people came knocking on our door, and they came in, and they were trying to be, nice and stuff, and trying to talk to my parents and everything. And at that moment, the whole atmosphere just had changed. And they came in. They were telling my dad, like, hey, if you leave, then we won't take your kids. We'll just, you just gotta leave.
So literally breaking up the family.
Yeah, I mean that's what, and they said they didn't come to do that, but
that's what they came to do.
Yeah, it resulted in that. And so they took my 2 baby brothers first, and they told me to go get my stuff, and I went in my room, but I like shut the door, put the dresser in front of it, went out the back window, and rode off on the bike. And they didn't know where I was, but my mom knew where I was. So they was like, hey, you don't turn yourself in, your mom gonna go to jail. So I was like, let me turn myself in. And so
that don't even sound right.
Yeah, yeah. because she knew where I was, and because they had to take us for for whatever reason. And
so you had to spend time, and and that's one of those situations that a lot of times people don't talk about, because when they say CPS, they think, oh, this kid is being neglected, this is horrible, but sometimes it's not even that.
Nah.
Sometimes a child is taken away from a good family, because just meeting you and knowing who you are, I know you have a good family. Yeah. So it's like, what in the world did you do being thrown into this lion's den, basically? I mean, how did you cope? I
mean, to be honest, like, honest to God, I mean, it's taking me back right now, but that was a very hard time. That was a very hard time, because I really had to forgive, and I really had to face a lot of things. Me and my brothers, we were together, and then they separated us once we got innocent. So I wasn't, as a big brother, I wasn't able to protect my brothers. I didn't know where they was. I mean, my heart got dark, and it was in that place where God really just started like pursuing me, and I was able to see it. I was able to
Right.
see him pursuing me. And
So you're able to relate to a whole lot of kids
yeah,
on many different levels.
yeah,
And you know, when you think about that, you wonder like, okay, did I have to go through what I had to go through just so that I could help somebody else?
yeah. I really did. When I was in that situation, it was selfish thinking. I wasn't thinking about nobody else. I was thinking like, I was just like, man, why this gotta happen? You know what I'm saying? Like,
But you also were a kid.
yeah, I was, but I was mature though. Like, I mean, I was a kid, but I was like very aware of what was going on. Like, very aware of what was going on, and I was trying to be strong for my brothers. And but once they separated us, it was just kind of like, you know, I was like, I don't know where my brother's at. You know what I'm saying? I was mad, you know, at my parents. I just, you know, I was just like, I was just done with everybody. Then
Yeah.
I was living with Puerto Ricans, and I was the oldest kid. I was the only black kid that was there, and so it was a lot of humiliation I had to endure. You know, going to different schools, and you know, we go out in public places, and all the black people are looking at me funny because they're like wondering why is this black kid with his hat backwards, with a tall tee and saggy pants, with all these Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Older Puerto Ricans. You know, and I would be like, they would be like, you gotta come. I'm like, I don't want to go. You know, because I felt embarrassed.
Right.
And so I had to like, you know, I had to deal with that. And, you know, but it was in that place that God really like started pursuing me. I was listening in my room one day to K-Love, and I don't even know why I had it on. I was just in there chilling.
Mm-hmm.
And I just flipped the station, and I heard them talking about something that caught my attention. So I just kind of let it play for a little bit. And then that song, I Can Only Imagine, came on.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
And when it came on, I was sitting on my bed, and I had not cried in a minute. I don't think I cried through that whole experience until that moment. And that song came on, and I just broke. I just, you know what I'm saying? I just started crying, and it was just like they wasn't there in the room with me, but it was like I knew there was some type of angelic presence in that room.
There was
with
some,
me.
yeah, it was in there with you, yeah.
And it was from that moment I started picking my Bible up, you know, and I started reading my Bible like every night, and it kept me sane. It kept me from snapping on people. It kept me from getting in trouble. I started reading my Bible every night, to the point where, I mean, I used to read it out loud to one of the other kids that was in the room with me, and he would be listening, and I'd be trying to read it to him, and he'll fall asleep on me, and I just keep on reading and talking about it. And I mean, it was crazy. And one night, we decided we was gonna run away, so we ran away, and we went to a church out here in the Belton area. And I never forget this night, man. We walked into this church. We hesitated because I was black, he was Mexican, and we thought it was a white church, but only a white church. And so I said, well, you go in first, you know what I'm saying? Because if they receive you, and you Mexican, then I'm good, you know?
You're a little lighter.
Yeah, you're a little lighter, you closer. So he went in, and he told him that I was his brother. But they came out, they was like, hey, why are you standing right here? Come on in. You know, they was very embracive, and they said, hey, you know, the children are back here having a service. Come on back. So I'm like, okay, you know, we come on back, and I walk into this building, and it's pitch black, and it's music playing, and I'm looking around like maybe this was a bad idea, you know,
Yeah.
just a cult, you know,
Yeah.
because it was just like music, slow worship music playing. Kids were like worshiping God, speaking in tongues,
Yeah.
and just like praying.
You were like, what?
And I walked in, and I was just like, I don't know how to speak in no tongue, so I just
Right.
went into a corner and was just praying in English to myself, you know. And when it was all over, they cut the lights back on, and the lady came to me, and she started prophesying to me, and started telling me, you know, so that God got you separated for a reason. You know, that He's doing something in your life. He's going to use you greatly, in your family. He's going to use you. And she was just like, you know, be encouraged. God love you. Don't ever think He don't love you. And she just started encouraging me, and prayed with us, and you know what I'm saying? We went back, and when we got back, the police was waiting on us. And so I'm like, well, we about to go to jail, you know. I mean, you know, I had peace, though. I'm like, man, I just left for prayer service. So,
Right.
And so we get back, and the officer, we thinking he going to lock us up. He comes in the room, shuts the door, and he's like, hey, are you guys okay? And he flipped the script. He was like, man, you know, I can only imagine what you kids are going through, you know, being in foster care and being stripped away from your parents. And he was just like, you guys ever need anything, you know what I'm saying, let me know. We walked out and left. And the
Wow.
foster parents were mad because they thought we were going to get in trouble. But that man was just like, nah, like, I understand.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Wow.
So,
That's unheard of. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Wow. So you really do. You have an amazing story, and I know that some of our listeners, you know, they can relate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Sundays at the Square. My name is Toni Ringgold, and I'm here interviewing Levallois Hamilton, who is, what is your stage name?
Levallois.
Levallois. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: how'd you get your name?
My mom said that my dad named me, and so when I finally asked him what it means, he told me it means strong man. That's what his definition was. That it means strong man. It's French. When I did my own research, I found that it is French, and it also means the valley.
Oh,
and
wow.
So if you take, you know, Levallois, you take in French is Levallois, and so you take the V and the Vallis out of it is valley in French, and so it's the valley, and I just got so much revelation with that because I'm like, that explains my life.
Yeah.
You know, he said it means strong man, and then the French origin says it means the valley. And if you know anything about the Bible, when it speaks of a valley, that's a low place between mountains.
Yeah.
And so it's a dark place. It's normally where the drought is. And and so I thought that's crazy to have a name like that.
Right.
But
you know, I think that's, you know, you can go down there and you can bring some people up.
oh yeah.
And so that's amazing. So you have something coming up. I want to talk a little bit about that.
I do. I have a CD release party coming up. I have a new CD coming out. It's my 9th mixtape, and it's called Under Construction.
Wow.
Yeah, Under Construction.
Your 9th.
9th, yep.
Wow. That's amazing. You know, to be so young, you have done a lot. You have done a whole lot. And I think that's really, really good, you know, and important. And so, you know, I commend you because, you know, a lot of young people, they get in the life and they don't know how to transition out. And of course, God, he used some people, and you were able to get to him at an early age.
Yeah.
But you know, you know, you're also using this music to get you, you know, through. 9th mixtape. How old were you when your first one came out?
Oh, when my first one came out, probably like that was.
Wow. Do you still have it?
I do, but I don't let everybody hear that.
Listen, I got some stuff on a site that I'm not even gonna say.
Yeah.
But I tried my best to get it off of there, and it's a legacy account, so like it's so old that I just know. So it's up there for life, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm like, this is awful, please.
Yeah,
you know,
some stuff.
Just like, That's too funny. That's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back in just a little bit. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sundays at the Square. I'm your host, Toni Ringgold. We'll see you in just a second.